On September 20th, 2023, I was there. The year was 1987. To the best my fading memory can recall, my dad took me to a few baseball games that year. If memory serves me right, one particular game was on Father's Day, June 21st. He and I were sitting in the skyboxes at the Coliseum with one of my many uncles and one of my many cousins. While there wasn't too much into the game, I distinctly remember yelling out of the skybox window to A's shortstop Alfredo Griffin at the plate.
"Hey Alfredo, get a hit!"
He did that and then some in that game. A's hung up 5 runs in the second inning, which included a 2-run single by, well, would you look at that? I guess 2004 wasn't the only time I got to see Mr. October in person. The A's would knock off the Texas Rangers 7-3 in the first game of a doubleheader on that day. It was then that I became an A's fan. In 1988, I really started to back the green and gold. My stepsister and I had a favorite team and a side team. At least that's what we had when we split a complete collection of 1988 Topps baseball cards that we got from Costco. She picked the Giants and the Cubs. I, on the other hand, scooped up the A's and, would you believe me if I told you that I also took the Dodgers? Hard to believe, I know. But I was 10 going on 11. I didn't know any better yet. In the 88 season, I went to Dodger Stadium while on vacation with my dad, and that's how I adopted them as a side team. Of course, all of that ended after the 1988 World Series. I still stuck with the A's. Then something happened in 1989. I was visiting my dad during a 2-week summer vacation. I had to watch my stepsister and my dad bicker back and forth on which Bay Area baseball team was better. Being the weird supportive stepbrother I was, I sided with, I'll call her Cammie. Cammie and I started watching Giants games together. With our unusual bond, I slowly would shift and become a Giants fan. By the end of the 89 season, I forsaked the A's. As you could tell by the end of the 1989 World Series, I chose poorly. After the sweep, I was hate watching the A's the following year. After the 1990 World Series, I was cackling in my head while playing Double Dragon 2 in my room as I heard my father swearing in the living room after the Cincinnati Reds finished the sweep of the defending world champions. For nearly 10 years, I didn't care about the A's. I adopted the Atlanta Braves as a side team that same 1990 season. It would be the last season the Braves were awful for a very long time. My dad took me to an A's game in 1992. This is what I said about that day in a previous video. My dad took me to an A's game in 1992 and I cared about them for a day. Fast forward to the year 2000. The Giants were at a new ballpark that was hard to get into. I wanted to see another Giants game that season after my first trip on May 25th. Why not try the Coliseum? I got 2 tickets with ease and took my childhood friend with me. On June 5th, we watched the Giants obliterate the A's 18-2. An idea would hit me. If it was simple for me to get tickets to an A's game when their cross-bridge neighbors came over, how hard would it be to get tickets to see the A's play anyone else? Easier than you would think. On June 20th, I would go back to the Coliseum to watch the A's host the Orioles. I saw the Iron Man in person. I would also see Will Clark wear black and orange again. I would buy the famous and beloved black alternate jersey at the concourse. The A's trailed 5-4 going into the bottom of the 8th. A solo shot by Matt Stairs tied the game, and a 3-run homer by Ramon Hernandez would lead the A's to an 8-5 victory. I would go to 3 more games that season. With the exception of a 10-3 blowout of the Angels on September 26, they were exciting games that were worth the drive. The 2000 A's would win the AL West on the last day, but lose to the Yankees in the ALDS. I was intrigued by this group they had. Eric Chavez, Miguel Tejada, the runner-up for the 2000 AL Rookie of the Year Terrence Long. They also had the Giambi brothers, the 2000 AL MVP Jason, and San Jose-born Jeremy. I mentioned in previous I Was There videos the Moneyball aces, Tim Hudson, Mark Mulder, and Barry Zito. These guys were good and they were fun to watch. I would find my favorite place to sit at the end of the 2000 season, the left field bleachers. It was a party atmosphere that would rival a soccer match in Europe, and it was a joy to chant with the drums section. After that season, I would adopt the A's as the new side team. If I wasn't at a Giants game, I would get my live baseball fix at the Coliseum. I met a lot of people and made a lot of memories in my time watching A's baseball there. Fast forward 21 years later. 2021 was the last time the Oakland A's had a decent baseball team. As of this video, it was the last time the team finished above 500. In 2020, they broke their playoff series curse on a technicality, beating the Chicago White Sox in the AL Wildcard Series. 2022 was the year the team drove itself off the cliff. For 2 decades, the team made half-hearted attempts to get a new ballpark. They tried uptown Oakland in 2001. Jerry Brown, the 2-time California governor and mayor of Oakland at that time, said, "No thank you." In 2006, Fremont was considered. 3 years later, the people of Fremont said, "Nope, not today." They tried San Jose in 2012. Because of territorial rights, the Giants said, "Not here, you won't." In 2016, the A's had a few choices to build their new stadium. Somewhere around the Coliseum, the Port of Oakland near Howard Terminal, or near Laney College. A year later, they chose Laney College. I'm sure you can guess what the people in the Peralta area of Oakland said. There was one more place the A's would try, Howard Terminal near the Port of Oakland. This would be a 5-year saga that made slow progress and failed to achieve the objective. This apparent lack of progress would get Commissioner Rob Manfred involved. He pretty much said,
Look, you guys have been dragging your feet for this new ballpark to happen long enough. Either get a new plan for a new stadium in Oakland or start having backup plans.
in comes another face that will eventually be inducted into the Hall of Scumbag Owners in professional sports. John Fisher, one of 3 sons to Donald Fisher, the founder of the Gap brand. You may have seen their commercials in the olden days. Many, many, many times. Fisher's career of sports ownership began in 1992 when he and Donald were part of a group that bought the Giants to prevent them from moving to Central Florida. In 2005, Fisher sold his stake with the Giants to join forces with Lou Wolf. Fisher also became the majority owner of the A's, along with having a stake in ownership with the San Jose Earthquakes and the storied Scottish football team Celtic FC. After Wolf sold his part of the A's in 2016, Fisher was the full-time owner. Since Fisher fully took over, the team would go downhill. With the exception of a few seasons being a contender, this team was a hot mess. 5 of the 8 seasons after blowing the 2014 wildcard game had them at the bottom of the division. I rattled off the names of former A's players going off elsewhere in a previous video. That didn't change going into the 2023 season. 2022 had the A's recording a 100-loss season for the first time since 1979. It would get worse for the A's in 2023. On April 20th, John Fisher was able to find a place for the A's to build a new ballpark. The catch to this new location was it would be far away from the Bay Area. Las Vegas has become quite the sports town since 2017. It didn't simply have teams of fringe sports like indoor football, B-tier soccer leagues, and the WNBA. With the Knights joining the NHL and winning a Stanley Cup, and the Raiders relocating from Oakland to Vegas in 2019, the A's weren't too far behind. I had a notion if the A's would relocate to a city based on territorial rights, Las Vegas was perfect. Their AAA team, the Aviators, played there. The A's announced that they found a piece of land near the Tropicana Resort. While I was getting the slides ready for this video, it was announced in the news on January 30th, 2024 that the Tropicana Hotel is scheduled to be demolished in 2025 to clear the area for a new ballpark. Any hopes with Howard Terminal were gone. Shane Tao, the mayor of Oakland, said the city would no longer be negotiating with the team regarding the project in the city. The attendance had been Montreal Expo level for 2 seasons in a row. While it got a little boost due to can I sneak in a quick rant here? What in the name of high school football is a reversed boycott? That's what the A's fans were organizing on June 13th when the A's hosted the Rays. Nearly 28,000 made it to the park to make their voices heard to John Fisher. The usual platitudes of, "We hate you," "Sell the team," "Stay in Oakland." But seriously, these people chose to do something as opposed to a boycott, which is someone choosing not to do something because reasons. The word has been worn down to the point that I don't take anyone seriously when they say they're boycotting something. Good for you, you have chosen not to do something. That word isn't special anymore, and neither are you. Get over yourself. Not only was the attendance bad, but the whole team was bad as well. This team was on the verge of being historically awful in 2023. After June 25th, the A's were 20-60, around the halfway point of passing the 100-loss mark set by the 1962 Mets. I figured that it was going to take 61 losses to break that record. Every time they lost, I peeled a section. Fast forward to nearly 3 months later. Going into this game I was attending, it appeared they couldn't even do me that honor. They were at 105 losses with 10 games to go. It wasn't going to happen. My dreams of watching the A's achieve historical futility ended on September 6th after beating the Blue Jays to win their 43rd game of the season, mathematically eliminating any possibility of even matching the 120 losses the Mets racked up in 1962. After I heard the news that the A's were going forward with their move to Las Vegas, that's when my interest in this team reached the level I had in the 1990s. Very low. I bought tickets to this game during my quarantine period over the summer. This would be my last call to enjoy a ball game at what t-shirts made in the East Bay call baseball's last dive bar. I all but told this side team I've had for over 2 decades this sentiment.
I want a divorce.
Tracking this team while they were on the road to futility was the only reason I had left to care. I would be a scorned Houston Oilers fan in 1996.
But this is it. I am taking the last BART up to the Coliseum ever to see the A's for the last time.
So who would I see as I rode BART to the Coliseum one last time? It was a team I hadn't seen in 4 months, the Seattle Mariners. I'll explain this one. I went to the Coliseum earlier that year on May 4th to see the A's host the Mariners. The last time I saw them before that day was on my 25th birthday in 2002. I showed up late and missed my Olympic crush Christy Yamaguchi throwing out the first pitch. On that Sunday afternoon in '02, the Mariners broke a 3-3 tie in the 6th inning with 3 runs en route to a 6-3 win. So, how have the Mariners been doing since that day? Since getting humiliated by the Yankees in the 2001 ALCS after winning 116 games, they won that many games without Ken Griffey and Alex Rodriguez and they still couldn't win the whole thing? Since that 2001 season, the Mariners were a bridesmaid in some years and a laughingstock in others. They held the longest playoff drought in North American sports before they finally made the postseason in 2022. The M's were looking to build off that year. After a stellar record in August, they were threatening to break up the duo of Texas teams looking to get in the postseason. By the end of the month, they were tied with the Astros for the division lead with the Rangers not too far back. This would leave my youngest nephew in Texas a little worried. I reassured him that he had nothing to worry about. The Mariners usually have found ways to disappoint their fans since the year they began play in 1977. Like the World Series prediction I made during the summer, I would be proven right. But more on that later. How about I get to the starting pitchers? Believe me, it won't take long. They were both new here. For the Mariners, it was George Kirby. After a decent rookie season, which had him placed 6th in the AL Rookie of the Year voting in 2022, Kirby got a little better. He won more games in 2023 and even made the All-Star team. His previous start before this game was on my 46th birthday. He took the L in a 6-3 loss to the Dodgers. Starting for the A's, Joey Estes. This would be Estes' first taste of the show. Drafted in the 16th round by the Atlanta Braves in 2019, Estes would be part of a trade in 2022 that sent him and 3 other prospects to the A's for Matt Olson. From Lancaster, California, Estes would have a small cheering section that didn't sit too far from me. My final A's game at the Coliseum would be a full circle moment. I would have a front row seat in the same section I sat in when I saw the A's play Baltimore in 2000. I wore the same black alternate that I bought on the stadium's concourse in 2000. Here's how Lau's call would go down. Estes was on a smooth path in the first inning. Then with 2 outs, Cal Raleigh got in with a ground rule double and moved to third after Teoscar Hernandez reached on an error. But Estes got out of the jam by getting Eugenio Suarez to fly out. Kirby had a simpler path, only giving up a single to Zach Geloff. With 1 out in the top of the second, A's third baseman Jordan Diaz committed another error, allowing Ty France to reach first. With Dominic Canzone at the plate, I'll let Mickey Tettleton say the words.
Right field, as Brown just looks up, and it has gone. A 2-run home for Dominic Canzone. It's 2-0 Mariners.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
While Kirby had another easy inning, Estes' first-day jitters were still there in the 3rd inning. He hit All-Star Julio Rodriguez in the hand to start the inning. With 1 out, Hernandez would single first, then move to second on a pass ball. After getting Suarez to fly out, a free pass was given to Jared Kelenic to load the bases. Estes was unnerved, getting France to fly out to get out of the jam. In the bottom of the 4th, Geloff would cut the lead in half.
And Shooty Babbitt. At the deep center field, Rodriguez going back, and it is gone! home run for Geloff, and it's 2-1.
The top of the fifth was when the wheels came off. Rodriguez would avenge nearly getting his hand broken in his first at-bat.
Flip on the deep right center. Going back is Butler at the wall, and it is gone. A home run for Julio Rodriguez. It's now 3-1 Seattle, and that is number 31 in his 100th RBI of the year.
Next, Raleigh would make sure his next hit would clear the fence.
The deep right field. Brown just looks up, and it is gone. What a shot from Raleigh. They go back-to-back, and it's 4-1 Mariners.
The nightmare wasn't over for Estes. With one out, Suarez got on second with the ground rule double. After Kelenic struck out, France got plunked. That was when A's manager Mark Kotsay had seen enough. 4 2/3 innings, 6 hits, a walk, a couple of strikeouts. Estes would exit, being responsible for the runners on base. Adrian Martinez would take over. Ken Zone would add 2 more RBIs to his day's total.
So fly ball to left center it well. Kemp looks up, it's going to one up off the wall. Grounding third base. And Suarez will score around the right behind him is France, and he'll score a 2-run double for Canzone. And it's now 6-1.
Fast forward to the bottom of the 6th. With 2 outs, Seth Brown singled to left. The A's would get within 3 as their all-star Brent Rooker took Kirby deep.
Deep center field going back. Rodriguez, he's at the wall, and it is gone. A home run for Rooker. And it's now 6-3.
To the bottom of the 9th. The A's needed 3 to tie and 4 to win. Justin Topa would try to close it down for the Mariners. He had no problem, getting Rooker and Diaz out with ease. Despite the walk given up to Tyler Soderstrom, this was how my last drink ended at the dive bar with Kevin Smith at the plate.
Next game.
As mentioned earlier, I assured one of my nephews in Texas that he had nothing to worry about when the Mariners were scary in August. I was right. The Mariners lost 6 of the final 10 games of their season. All of them were against either the Rangers or the Astros, 2 teams they were in a logjam with for 2 months. As a result, the M's finished 2 games back of both the Astros and the Rangers, while finishing a game out of the last wildcard spot to the Blue Jays. See, I told you so. Just like I said the Rangers could win the World Series. Way to go, Boch. You now have won a World Series in an odd-numbered year. The A's closed out their 2023 season in a similar fashion, losing 6 of their last 10 games, leaving them 9 losses short of breaking the record. During my final trip at the Coliseum, I got a couple of souvenirs as a parting gift. When the season ended, everybody who had invested their time and energy on this team over the years would be waiting for the big day. The owners vote on November 16th. The owners gave Fisher their blessing to move the team to Las Vegas with a 100% unanimous vote. With a year left in the team's lease at the Coliseum and no plans on where the A's will play before 2028, I'm always going to live and die with the Giants. During the years they've reached the top, during the years they were the division doormat, and every place in between. The A's were a side team to me. An easy ticket for live baseball during a time when the ballpark on 3rd and King was hard to get a ticket for. Because of John Fisher, I had decided to no longer waste my energy on a baseball team that was getting ready to reserve the pods trucks for loading. No, a lease extension while you get your issues sorted out won't change my mind. So I began to find another baseball side team. It wasn't hard. I've been to their ballpark. I rooted for them to win the World Series in 2017 and 2022. I have 2 of their jerseys, and my sister has sent me some of their championship bling over the years. The Houston Astros. Why? Because I can. You're not the boss of me. Walking out of the Coliseum as I headed back to the BART station on that September afternoon was more of a bittersweet moment. It was a day that I knew a chapter of my sports viewing life was coming to an end. The day I would stop caring about the Athletics again. It was the same feeling I experienced after Emily left me in 2004. I knew the end was coming. It was going to hurt to say goodbye, but it was for the best. After the unanimous vote for relocating the A's was decided, the city of Oakland would rise up to begin a new era of baseball in the town. On November 28th, a brand new team would be added to the Pioneer Baseball League, an independent league with teams based solely in mountain states such as Colorado, Idaho, Utah, and Montana. The Oakland Ballers, or the Bees, would be the first of 2 PBL teams to be based in California. They will have a place to play at Raimondi Park, a hop, skip, and a jump from Howard Terminal. Didn't the A's want to build something there? Founded by Paul Friedman and Brian Carmel, the Ballers were the city's middle finger to John Fisher. Friedman and Carmel won't be the sole owners of this team. The Ballers are fan-owned. Anyone who financially contributes to this grassroots franchise can become owners, similar to how people who are stockholders of the Green Bay Packers. The Ballers are set to begin play in the upcoming 2024 season. I told Damon Bruce that if the A's decided to leave, I'd make a video about my final game. Well, Herr Bruce, I'm a man of my word. Here you go. I would have one last drink at baseball's last dive bar when I was there on September 20th, 2023.